I'm a legend.
I'm a legend. I'm a legend.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Bust Lip Podcast. My name is Mark Pavelich, and she is home right now. She is. She's home right now. The 8-time 3-division world boxing champion, the one and only Jelena Mrdjenovich. Hello.
I love this. I love that today it's just going to be you and me chatting about what's going on.
Well, you said that when we first started the podcast together. You were like, you know what? Can we do that more often? And I'm like, well, we kind of have to have guests on and things like that. You go, nah, it's great to have guests on. But you did say if people could actually hear us talk when we just talk.
And when I call you and I'm like, hey, what about this? What did you think of this? And then we go off for like 2 hours talking.
Yeah, correct.
We're not going to do that to everybody today. They don't need to know all of my inside thoughts, but
yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And I say that in the politest form that you can say it in, right? But our podcast, since we started, everybody, we've had so many great guests on with Jelena and I, and it's literally to say that it's growing at a crazy pace right now would be a total understatement. And Jelena and I kind of get a kick out of it because, like, we literally call each other and go, "Oh my God, did you see how many more subscribers we got?" And we were talking, and it's like we're over 7,000 subscribers right now, which is spectacular. And we both, and then you know what's funny? After we were done cheering, being over 7,000, we said, "Okay, 70,000." You know what I mean? And that's kind of both our mentalities. And Jay, you know. Am I right or am I right?
100%. Like, I think, you know, we've been fortunate to have a lot of unbelievable people on our podcast.
Of course.
Like, people I've fallen in love with, knew them before, but fell in love with a little bit more as a fangirl, you know, like just, you know, when you get to know their stories and not even stories, just when you get to talk to them and get a different perspective on things. That's been my favorite part about this podcast, actually, to be honest. Like, of course, hosting with you has always been my pleasure, but like to just get to know people and to get their different thought processes, and it changes your mindset on different things. So that's been my favorite part. And then to watch people enjoy what I've been enjoying, that's just the icing on the cake for me. So
you notice that people do that though when they come on the show, like you didn't really think that they would open up in that way, and that's the part that always kind of hooks me. It's like, you know, from you can name a bunch of guests that have done that, but you really look at, you know, when you think one way and then they come on the show and they're totally a different human being. And I mean this in the best way. Like, you thought they were cool, but then all of a sudden, after you got off with them, you were like, oh, wow. Like, I had no idea. Like, and they kind of open up in a way on this show in a very weird way where it's like, they kind of like, they don't even realize they're on a podcast anymore. They're kind of like talking, and then basically what I tell everybody, you only reason to ask 1 or 2 questions is to get the conversation going. Once the conversation gets going, it's hard to tell any guest what we're actually going to talk about.
Well, it's funny you say that because we had that situation, like literally with Amir Khan, a friend of mine. And he's like, remember at one point he's just like, hold on, we didn't even really talk about boxing. And I was like, well, you know, these things happen. He's like, it's like, boxers are known to have like, oh, butterfly. And we like look around and we go to a different conversation.
It's true.
But the same can be said about George, like George LaRock, another friend of ours. And you know, we talked about everything. So, and that's been my favorite part about this.
George went deep. George was just on recently, and he went so deep, and it was crazy because, you know, the funny part is George is a hardcore vegan. And Jelena grew up on a farm and started telling the stories. And listen, I'm not exaggerating. We've had huge guests on NFL, NHL, golf, you name it, everything, NBA even. And the crazy part is I had more phone calls and more text messages from people, you saying to George, you know, about sleeping with this calf and then ending up having it for dinner. But you should be more specific about that. Tell people that your dad is in that like he's a farm.
We're ranchers.
We're ranchers. Yeah, it's legit.
However, Mark, I warned you about this. I told you I am completely unhinged, unfiltered. What you see is what you get, and like
correct.
Usually, when you're out and about, and this is the same probably with all of our guests, and this is why this has been so rewarding for me, is that like you talk to people, and it's at an event or at a game or at like it's a different situation. So getting to like unplug with our guests and my friends and things like that, and getting to see people's true side, because let's be honest, we watch whoever it is on TV, right? You watch them on TV, you watch them doing what they do, and they're the best at what they do. But everybody wants to have that connection. I wonder what they're like in real life. And our podcast has not been an interview-paced type thing. It's been more of a conversation, like you said. And, it's even like the example with Amir. He's like, well, how long do you want to be on for? And I was like, I don't know, like I was like, usually an hour-ish. We, get into things. He's like, can we do half hour? I was like, whatever you want, bro. Like, it's your podcast. Like,
and you could have did 2 hours, and it could have been 2 hours. Like, honestly, we were
everybody we've chatted to.
Yeah,
like,
but it went an hour, but it could have went 2 hours easily with Amir Khan. He was a spectacular guest. His episode right now is over 17,000 views, and it's crazy because like I try to explain to people, they don't understand. Like we are literally doing the Bus Lip podcast in a way that's so different than most people, because it is a sports podcast, but it's not a sports podcast. And that's, you can't contradict anything more than that, but it's true. It's like
whatever goes on in this crazy mind. And I'm like, oh, but what about this? Like,
that's right. Like it does start off that you were in sports, and then it end up veering a totally different way. We've had guests on this show like admit heroin addiction when they were younger. We had guests, and Kelly Rudy, when he was on the first time, say about mental illness. We were like, what? It's like Matt Brown when he said he was a kid, he was like a heroin addict. We're like, what? Like these things have never come out before, and people don't understand. Like on the Bustle It podcast, we're not trying to get you to. This is not confession, right? This is like but you sit around. Yeah, you sit around long enough, and you feel comfortable, and then all of a sudden this starts to happen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, we were going to talk about today. We wanted to touch base on the downfall
Connor McDavid?
of the Oilers. The downfall.
The downfall, the collapse, the erosion,
I don't know if it was it yeah.
First round, Jay. It's first round. First round.
Listen, the Raptors just went out in the first round last night too.
Yeah, that's different. That's different. You got the two best hockey players in NHL. Two best.
Okay.
On one team.
So you and I have been chatting a lot about Connor's post-game
comments.
interview.
Yeah.
Post-game interview. He was in an interview, his post-game response. And you and I have had debates on this. So go on. Go ahead. Kick it off.
Well, I put a tweet out.
And then I called you.
Yes, because
we called each other and we talked about it.
Yeah, because the tweet got 164,000 views. Now, if you're Madonna, not a big deal. If you're a sports podcast, big deal. So what happens? 164 people, 70% of the people were
164,000.
164,000. 70% of the people were super positive. 30% were absolutely disgusting and deplorable on all levels, which I'm okay with. I don't give a shit anymore.
Cowboys is what I like to call them.
Awesome. Great. Come. You know the difference is? The difference is I'm telling the truth. You know why that night I went to sleep? I was sleeping like a baby. If I don't sleep like a baby, you know what I know? I know I'm wrong. And there's been hundreds and thousands of nights where I don't sleep well. But I slept well that night. And you know why? I woke up the next morning again. I'm like, oh, another 40,000, 60,000 views. I'm okay with it. But the moral of the story is Connor McDavid. There's no, I don't say whatever I said is 100% true.
Let's digress before it though, because people don't know. Not everybody watches hockey.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Explain what he said and why this is controversial in your mind, and then I'm going to give you.
Sure, he's the captain of the Edmonton Oilers, and he made a comment where he basically said, "We're an average team. that has high expectations. And when you're an average team with high expectations, that's not a good combination.
Do you say, and I don't want to misquote him, high expectations are unrealistic? Because those are two different
high
things.
expectations. High expectations. High expectations. And he said that's a bad combination to have high expectations as an average team. Now, you understand, average team. This is with listen to this, with Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Hyman. These are Hyman, 50 goal scorers. You know, you have you have other players on that team that were never average ever one day in their life. That they can't deliver, there's a problem. And listen, you brought it up best with me. I love it because you're gonna defend McDavid, and I think it's great. But you know what the funny part is? You're the one that said he couldn't even win in the Olympics.
Hold on, wait a minute. I said
yes, you did.
I hadn't seen. Okay, so I watched the game.
Let me write this down, make sure, because I got to watch with you sometimes.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Because what I had said is, I hadn't seen the interview at the point because I watched the game. I turned it off when I knew we were losing. I did not want to see Anaheim celebrate. Blah, blah, blah.
I agree.
I'm like, forget about it. I turned it off.
Yeah.
I was at my sister's. I drove home. So then I go to bed and I wake up and apparently everybody's going off on Connor McDavid because of these post game.
Well, it's like Freudian, yeah, I know. You it's post fight, yeah.
Yeah, so because of his post game interview. And so, we were talking about it and I said, well, I don't know. Like I said, I can't speak on it because I didn't hear the interview and I want to hear the context and everything. And then we were still debating, and I was like, that is kind of shitty for him to say that as an athlete, as the leader of your team. I said, but clearly there's frustration, right? Obviously, he is, before he came to the Oilers, is used to winning. He's lost back-to-back Stanley Cup games. They lost in the Olympics. All of these losses have been heartbreaking losses. Yeah. So I said, at that point, maybe he's just frustrated being a loser. Being a loser sucks. Like,
wait a second. What did you just say? You said he's frustrated with being a loser. Now, some people would not think they're losers because, listen, you made it to back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals. You made it to the gold medal game in the Olympics. And in Canada, you know what a silver means in the Olympics. It's basically you can throw them in the garbage because as Canadians, we all know when it comes to hockey, silver is not. I remember my son when he won a silver medal one time in hockey. They put it around his neck and he took it off because he's like, no, because that's one thing. That's the only thing in Canada where we say egos put aside. Bring your ego. Don't bring your. We don't care. But hockey is our sport. And when you see a guy. When you saw that Olympic team and they lost, you thought to yourself, oh my God, how could this team lose? Like, this team was incredible. This team, there was no better team I've ever seen on paper in my entire life. And they won the silver medal. And I'm not saying McDavid is cursed because he's not. But what I am saying is there's something defining that's not correct about him when it comes to leadership. Listen, maybe he shouldn't wear the C. Maybe he should just be a player on.
No. So, listen.
No, wait a second. So he should wear the C and talk like that?
I think, so my opinion is after watching it and in hindsight, like he needed someone to tell him to take a breath. Hey, buddy, you know what? I know we just lost. I know these interviews are trying to get clickbait. They're doing their job. Take a breath after the question. Take a thought about it. We understand you're frustrated. Make good choices. However, I think what we saw from Connor is just the frustration. He is a competitor. How do you have the best player and not have him wear a C? I think whoever's wearing the A maybe needs to be more of a leader.
Yeah, Draisaitl.
You know what I mean?
Draisaitl.
So, and not that he's not a leader. Yeah. But listen, all I'm thinking is we caught Connor at a position where he was frustrated. And I think as an athlete, we've all been there.
No, I don't give a shit. This is where we draw the line in the sand. What about the fans? Hey, has anybody checked the ticket price? The ticket price of Edmonton Oilers tickets are higher than any other team in the entire NHL. I'd bet on it. I don't even have to check. I'm sure of it. And you imagine that you're worried about how he feels, but you're not worried about the guy that's got to put his money together to bring his family to a hockey game. That's who listen, I'm a Detroit Red Wing fan for life. Okay. I love the city of Edmonton. I live here. I love it with all my heart. You'll find very few people in this world that love this city as much as I do. But I feel horrible for the fans. Listen, for the 30% of the fans that talk shit to me on Twitter last week, I understand. I understand your frustration. I'm not even mad at you. I'm not. How can you be mad?
Mark,
At least you have passion.
But I'm not a player. I've never played hockey in my life. Okay.
That's okay.
But the Oilers gave the fans 2 back-to-back Stanley Cup final performances.
Yep.
I mean, yes, of course, we have the expectation of the dynasty team, the Wayne Gretzky team, the Mark Messiers, the Grant Fuhrs in net. Like, we have that expectation.
Yeah.
However, how can you be mad at the players when they just gave 2 back-to-back Stanley Cup performances?
No. I'm not mad at the players. I'm not mad at anybody.
You're saying the ticket person. No. I'm not saying you're mad, but where I get frustrated is the people who are buying the tickets.
Sure.
What more can you ask? You gave back-to-back Stanley Cup performances. Yes, we went out in the first round. But guess what? Florida didn't even make the fucking playoffs this year.
That's true. 100% true.
So,
Jay.
I think they're doing their job. And I think Connor, deserves to wear the C. He's doing his job. He is clearly frustrated. And upon watching the interview a few times, and I mean,
6
Leon's
points.
Great for this. This
6
is
points.
Leon's. Dude, he's
6
playing
points.
through injury.
6 points. That's all that Connor McDavid had during this series.
So
do you understand
he's
that?
playing through injury.
I don't give a shit. I
Guess
don't
what?
care. I don't care.
Okay.
6 points. That's all he had.
Time the rest of the team stepped up.
Listen, what I'm trying to explain to you, he had 6 points. Draisaitl sat out and had more points than he did. So wait a second here. Listen to me. I'm not some Connor McDavid hater. I'm just the guy coming with the truth. And sometimes the truth is so painful that you can't even imagine it. Everybody's sitting around going, "Oh, poor us, poor us. He's going to want to get traded. He's going to want to get traded." You're not winning with him right now. You're not winning the Stanley Cup. Listen, the great Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player to ever play this game by a million miles. There's not even a close second. He left Edmonton the year after with Mark Messier. They won the Stanley Cup in Edmonton. The Wayne Gretzky went to Los Angeles. Everybody thought, "Oh, that's a finish. They're finished." And they won it the year after. Not the year after, the year after that. They won the Stanley Cup without Wayne Gretzky. So they did win it with him, but they still won it without him. You understand, McDavid could be arguably the greatest hockey player to ever play this game to not win a Stanley Cup. You name me one team in the world.
I think he still has a long career ahead of him.
You tell me, Jay. Look at the Pistons. Look at the Bulls. Look at any hockey team that had the 2 best hockey players in the NHL and didn't win the Stanley Cup. It's insanity. Or any sport. Pick any sport you want. Pippen, Jordan won a bunch of championships. Lemieux and Yager won a bunch of Stanley Cups. You know what I'm saying? I can do this all night. Like, I can give you the scenarios.
I know.
But for some reason, something about the Edmonton Oilers that literally is not communing. And I agree, there's pieces missing. But and no one's mad at the team for losing. But when the leader of the team talks like that and only had 6 points in the series, you think to yourself, well, you're criticizing everybody else, but at the same time, you only had 6 points during the whole series. That's not exactly.
Probably shouldn't even have been playing. Probably. And we don't know. Like, we're not his medical staff and whatever. He probably shouldn't even have been playing.
Yeah.
Like, we all know he was battling.
At this rate, this guy will be sitting around a campfire one day telling everybody about his 140, 150 point seasons, showing everybody his highlight reel, and his grandson will say, "Grandpa Connor, did you ever win the Stanley Cup?"
Stop.
And he's gonna go, "No, I didn't win that one."
I think he will.
But my Uncle Marty won 4 of them. My uncle, my
Okay.
family, 4. And my Uncle
Great.
Marty used to talk to me about this shit all the time. He died at 96 years old. Arguably, you can go do history on this. My Uncle Marty used to tell me all the time, culture is what wins Stanley Cup. I'd say, Uncle Marty, what are you talking about? He'd say to me, Mark, I'm going to explain this to you. He said, it's a cultural thing, meaning like the guy on the 4th line and the guy on the 1st line, they eat together all the time. The equipment manager eats with the entire team. They all meet, they all eat together, they walk together, they don't miss each other. My uncle had 4 Stanley Cup rings, and he used to talk to me about culture all the time. And I believe that that's the number one thing missing. Listen, we remember the time when St. Louis Blues were 50-50 record, and all of a sudden they go and get guys like Patty Maroon, and they get other guys, and they put them all together. And no all-stars on the team. No, nothing. They win the Stanley Cup. You ask Pat Maroon. We'll have to get Pat on the show one day. And we'll ask him, and I'll guarantee you what he'll tell you. He'll say, it's a cultural thing. It's not like Connor McDavid. Sure, he's the greatest hockey player right now, skilled-wise. He's really flashy, but hasn't won a Stanley Cup. That's what it comes down to. Look at Ovechkin. We used to talk about Ovechkin all the time. 11 years it took him to win a Stanley Cup. We're all sitting around going, oh, he's going to win it one day. Greatest scorer in the history of hockey. What happened? He won a Stanley Cup.
So
Arguably the greatest celebration of all time. Greatest celebration of all time. Ovechkin, big shout out. Greatest celebration in the history of the Stanley Cup.
I love Ovi.
Alexander,
I love Ovi. I love
Ovi, the greatest,
great.
greatest celebration in the history of Stanley Cups. Ovi has it, and it was spectacular. The celebration was just as good as the winning the cup. But what I'm trying to tell you is, this team right here is broken now. Now it's broken. Because the captain said what he said, so you got a bunch of guys on the team right now that, they might have took it.
I do think they do need to sit down. They need to figure out, grab their pen and paper, figure out, maybe they need to all do sports psych together. Maybe they need a psychologist. I don't know.
Jay, I bet you they have one already, though. I bet you're right about
sure
that.
They do.
I bet you they have one. Yeah.
I'm sure they do. I think, I think they're frustrated. I think they need some time off. Go hit your golf course. Go do your off ice training. Go back to your regular life. Come back fresh. Start again, and we'll see where we go.
Nothing you're saying is incorrect. All I'm saying is, when the captain of the team,
I hear you,
only has
when
6
your leader
points.
Says that.
If he had 16 points, I wouldn't say a word.
But we don't know what the conversations were after this, right?
6.
So that's he said something in a very public forum that probably hurt a lot of feelings, right?
Yeah. Didn't hurt my feelings.
Didn't hurt my feelings. I'm talking about in the room.
Yeah. But I'm saying is,
I don't say who gives a shit what the fans think. But it's not about the fans at this point. It's about, yes, his leadership. And we don't know what conversations he had with the team after he says that. I'm sure they have debriefs. I'm sure that they have all these things.
Sure.
I'm sure the boys still talk all the time. And I'm sure they're going to hang out in the summer. And he's going to be like, yo, man, I really didn't mean that. I said it out of frustration. And I can't speak on Connor's behalf. I'm not Connor McDavid.
Yeah, and I love, though? I love that you... Yeah. I love that you come from that perspective all the time, because you're an athlete, and I usually come from the perspective, and I'm not an athlete, and I come from the perspective of ownership and because I owned lots of things and dealt with professional athletes my whole entire life, and all I'm saying is that it was just inappropriate what he said, and that they lost is not the problem. That's not the problem. That happens in sport. Listen, they played a younger version of themselves. Anaheim Mighty Ducks was a younger version of the Edmonton Oilers 4 or 5 years ago. That's exactly what that team was. They literally out-hustled them. The speed was incredible to watch. The games were so fast. I'm like, hey, if your kid's playing hockey right now and he's 10 years old, you better get him ready, because what I'm witnessing now, the speed of the game is so fast. So fast.
It's almost dangerously fast. When
It
I
is,
watch
Jay.
the games, I do not know how there are not more injuries.
I agree. Crazy. Did you see the Colorado game yesterday? What did it end? 9-7 or 9-6 or something like that? It was nuts. And the speed of the game was Minnesota and Colorado game, there was 15 goals scored or 16 goals scored. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable,
but the speed of the game is like nuts. And if you're out there and your kid's getting ready to play hockey, listen, man, you better get them running hills. You better get them doing speed skating immediately.
Ice,
You're 100%, Jay.
A great athlete, yeah.
Yeah, you have to be now because you're never going to make it. Listen, the kid next door got drafted number 4 to WHL from my place. Next door, he literally got drafted number 4, and his younger brother is in the draft this week. And Aiden, my guy, he's the best, and he's going to get drafted probably in the top 10. This kid next door, and literally, I tell them all the time, like, "Oh, Mark, show us how to fight." I'm like, "I'm not showing you how to fight. You start running hills."
Start as much.
No, it doesn't. And these kids are not. They're this level of hockey where they're not going to be fighting, right? They're the peak guys. They're not the fourth liners. So these kids are going to end up, playing somewhere. I mean, and the one kid's, already playing in the WHL, and he's like he's like 15, 16 years old. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy how the sport has evolved.
Yeah,
like
it really
any
has.
sport, everything gets different.
Yeah.
Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. Like
Worse,
boxing, we went through a phase where everybody was super defensive, super protective.
Yeah.
Like we didn't
Worried
see those
about the O.
knockouts.
Yeah.
Worried about the O, all those things. And then you have guys coming up like on the weekend. There was David Benavidez versus Zurdo, right? Like,
Great fight.
Unbelievable. Zurdo went out on his shield,
He did.
Massively
Benavidez
injured.
is special though, Jay, isn't he?
He's
special.
so special.
He's special.
And you know what? And he's a great guy. I've met him before in the gym.
Yeah.
Like he is special. But
yeah, it's crazy.
Again,
It's crazy.
Your same thing came up through boxing when he was young, was super
Yep.
dedicated, and actually I saw a really interesting clip, and I was gonna send it to you, but it was
With his son?
ungodly hours.
With his son?
It was
Okay.
about him, how he's a student of the game.
Sure.
So he watches fighters, like he could tell you about any fighter. He watches old films of like we're talking like Rocky Marciano, Roberto Duran, like the old guys to the new guys to whatever. And he watches the sport to be like, okay, like he's not just like, oh, this is Floyd, let's be like Floyd nowadays, because everybody went through their whole Floyd phase where they're all doing the shoulder roll and things like that.
That phase went on for a few years. Like, it was crazy
because he was the best and everybody wanted to be him. But where Benavidez, like, it was, I gotta find it and I'll send it to you, but it's like he's like, I am a student of the game. I could tell you styles from the 20s, whatever films, clips, whatever you could get, maybe
find.
not the 20s, but he's watched those growing up, and it made me smile because that's the way Milan taught me. Like when I started boxing, he gave me Duran, he gave me Sugar Ray, he gave me Tommy Hearns, he gave me a lot of the old legends, and he's like, I want you to watch this for this and this for this and that. Crazy. And like, so that is why, like, for me, that's how I learned how to box.
Did you see what Benavidez said though? The number one thing he said though that got me a little bit, like, it kind of touched me when he said that he brings his son with him everywhere on purpose, because he said that when he didn't come out of his shell till he was 15 years old, he was very shy. He didn't really want to be around people. And then they said, hey, we really noticed that you bring your son everywhere. And he goes, watch this. Hey, son, get up and shadow box. And his son stood up on the table and he started shadowboxing. And he said, no. I'm not trying to show off right now. But what I am teaching him is not to be like I was. Like, and I thought, wow, what an interesting thing that he did with his son. He tried to amalgamate his son to get out there and not be shy like he was.
Well, he was shy because he was kind of like, how he got into boxing was he was a fat kid, right? So he started boxing and running to get,
there you go.
So, and probably bullied when he was younger because kids suck, they're mean, like, they're the best and worst because they have no filters, and he was probably bullied, and that also creates you to be an introvert, right? When you're
very
bullied,
much so,
you don't want to go out. But also like, and this, I'm going to bring up Connor again, but I don't want to go on the big hockey thing. Like, he grew up in a gym. So not only
his whole life,
his whole life, he's socially inept, right? Like he has not been socially awkward, socially inept. He grew up in a gym. Like, so if you ain't talking about hockey or working out or whatever, he doesn't relate to a lot of people.
Correct.
And then on top of it,
I appreciate that you use the word socially inept, because a lot of people have used that with him, said he's socially inept, and it's like, I don't know him, so I can't say that either way, but he does come across that way.
I've had a handful of conversations with him, but again, you know me, I love like people who are socially awkward. I get along with, probably because I'm slightly the same. Sure. I can be in a room full of people and be fine, but like, you know, you grow up, you spend 90% of your time perfecting your craft. You don't get the time to be the social person.
Exactly.
Right? So I'm sure he's an introvert. Like, I've had great conversations with him. I think he's fine. Like, but I can also relate on a bunch of different levels with him. So it's different. But then you had a guy who is probably an introvert at heart, and then being in these interviews, even though he's done 1,000,001 of them, and then being frustrated, and those are why those comments came out unfiltered. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, listen. I pray he wins a Stanley Cup between me and you, and in this city. If he leaves the city and wins one, I could give I don't care, unless he goes to Detroit. But what I'm saying to you is, I want him to win a Stanley Cup in this city with these fans. They deserve it.
Finish what he started.
I love this city, and they deserve it. They actually deserve it, and I want them to win it, and I do. It's listen. I saw.
I don't whether they win or not. Like, for me, Edmonton's a city of champions. I'm okay being the only winner in Edmonton, although I am a loser right now. I don't have a world title, but like, you know, I'm okay.
One more
with
though.
it.
One more.
Well, a couple more, hopefully, but
a couple more. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, like, listen. The fans here are the best and worst, right?
Yes,
and I have to say this in a loving way to Edmonton, because when they're on your side, when they're riding your coattails, there is no one I want else.
Oh, I agree.
Because they are fucking legends. Our city is legends.
It's all about winning, though. Here,
our fans are legends. But the minute you fall off, oh my gosh! Like, the keyboard cowboys come out to play. Everybody's a hater. It was funny because remember, everybody was making all the comments about people, and I sent you the best Instagram.
Crazy. Yeah,
it's
crazy.
Instagram ad I've ever. Remember the one where the boxers, where they go to the keyboard cowboys and they knock on the door?
On the door, to fight them. It's hilarious.
To fight them, and I was like, I would love someone, like, when people make comments, I'm like, I'm sorry. I like roll up behind them.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Say?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, exactly.
What was your opinion? Like, anyway.
Exactly.
Our city is the best and worst, and yes. Yeah. It is what it is. But
I remember.
That's every fan, though.
Correct.
Every fan is like that.
I remember having shows here in Edmonton when I owned the MFC. And I remember at one show, I'm not exaggerating, I had, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 UFC guys on the card. I had another 5 or 6 high-level UFC guys that were here. I had, poker tournaments with half the Oilers, a bunch of UFC guys. Gene Simmons.
I think I was at a couple of them.
Gene Simmons was at the after party. Gene Simmons from Kiss was at the after party with Ariel Castaneris and Mark Cuban and
all the people.
Tito Ortiz and all these people. It's crazy. If you weren't there, you wouldn't have believed it. Like, you would say to yourself, if you would have seen like an after party of an MFC, you'd be like, where are we in Edmonton? But people didn't understand that. Like, literally, Mark Cuban was here for 4 or 5 days and just walking around, and people were like, that can't be him. But it was.
Do you know what's shitty about all of this? Like, all the things you've done, and same thing as I've done. Like, social media wasn't a thing. Right?
Not like it is today. No.
Not like it is. There weren't influencers and this and that.
Correct.
Yeah. So, whatever. You know, I believe you live you learn, you experience, you move on, and hopefully everything that everyone goes through makes them a little bit that 1% better every day.
Yeah,
right?
I love
like
that.
I tell you
I love
about that 1%.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. What else were we talking about this week that I wanted to bring up on this? There was something else that was good. It's that butterfly thing with the boxing. We talk about.
I do love that. I love that though. You go because you can switch directions, right? Like that,
there was something else that I really wanted to talk about.
Well, there was a lot of
next
stuff.
Time I'll make notes. Next time I'll make notes. So just for our viewers, Mark and I talk, like I'll have an idea and I'll call him and then we'll talk for like 2 hours.
Well, I'm just writing down. When you talk, I'm writing them down, right? Because I know that, I've been hitting that a few times. So I'm
then
writing
go back
them
to your
down.
notes. What was it?
Yeah. I just keep writing it down, writing it down, so.
Yeah.
How about Serrano? You and Serrano fight? No?
Oh, no. Listen.
No?
That's an hour-long story, and we don't have that much time.
Give us the Cole's notes. What's going on? Serrano fight?
Listen, I love what Serrano's been doing in the sport of women's boxing. I think it's phenomenal. When I was a unified world champion, I had the WBA, WBC 126.
Fight everybody.
Prior to Milan passing away, we tried to make the Serrano fight a ton of different times, and for reasons that her team couldn't come to Canada.
How long ago was that, though? How long ago was that?
I was trying to fight her for
like what?
10, easy 12 years.
12 years. Imagine
WBC stripped me of my belt because they said I was unreasonable with how much money I wanted to make for the fight, and they stripped me. They said, I was going through things, which I was. I think it was fair. Like, and then, like we said with sports, everything happens
exactly
at a time, right? So Serrano has been extremely fortunate to meet someone like Jake Paul, to elevate the sport and all those things. And I would love to fight her now. However, I don't know. I don't have anything to entice that fight. So basically right now I'm in a queue. Because everyone wants to fight her.
You're in the batter's box.
I'm in the batter's box. I'm not even in the batter's box because the batter's box insinuates that you're up next.
Yeah.
So I'm in the queue because right now she's a hot commodity. She's got this promotion. She's doing unbelievable. She's had blockbuster fights. She's shattered records with Serrano and all those things. And, or sorry, not with Serrano, with Katie Taylor.
Katie Taylor,
And so if I was her management, I'd be like, why? Other than it's a mental thing. Like we've tried to make it happen. It didn't. And
it didn't happen.
So it is what it is with her. And I've moved on to 122 pounds. I want to fight Ellie Scotti for undisputed eventually. Same thing. I'm in the queue, but I'm at least in the lineup with that one.
You are definitely in that one. Definitely.
So because I'm rated number 4 by the WBC at Super Bantam, and I think I'm rated 1 or 2 with the WBA. So eventually it's going to happen. And
awesome. In England too, probably, right? In England too, probably.
Who cares? I'll fight her in my backyard if I have to.
Of course. I'm not. So, what do you think? I care. Let's go, London. Let's go.
I'll do it wherever. Wherever it makes sense.
Exactly. Well, listen, everybody. We want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Our short little rant and raving about all kinds of shit on this show that we do. And listen, tune in every Tuesday. Yeah. Jay says we should do this more but the problem is, I do love having our guests on, and I know too. And I know Jay does too. Yeah.
And next week I think we'll have someone who's different but really cool. Working on it. So I have a wish list, right, Mark? I've created
but you understand. Wait a second, Jay. You know why though? This is a problem because people say, "Oh, you should have this person on, this person on, this person on." But I'm like, you don't understand. Amir Khan, for example, said, I can only be on for 20, 30 minutes, right? He was on for an hour and he said, it's over already? Because you have to know how to converse. Some people don't know how to converse for an hour. It's just the truth.
Hold on, but I have a wish list, is what I was saying,
Okay.
and we have
right.
we have a document that I share. So both of us add
Correct.
our wish list guests.
Yes.
Right. So it's our list of people. I'm like, oh my God, they'd have the best stories, and I've talked to them. Their story is amazing, and I would like to get more of it. And so it's like a selfish wish list because it's people I just want to talk to and learn more about.
Exactly.
Which is like, this is what this podcast is. If you want to be my friend, come on the podcast and I get to know more about you. But so our next guest, should I just tell everybody who it is, or should I?
Yes, of course. You're allowed.
So
you're allowed
Dmitry
to.
Salita is going to be on our guest a week after. He's amazing. He's a friend of mine, former fighter, now promoter, promotes Clarissa Shields among multiple world champions.
Exactly.
And I think he has such a great story, and I want to share his story, and I want to pick his brain about the movement from being from a boxer to a promoter and being such an advocate for the athlete. So that's why he's such. So I think he was voted like top 5 promoter in the world last year. So not voted, like he was awarded.
Yeah.
I should get my words correctly because people listen. So I think, so he's going to be our guest next week. He's promoting a show in Atlanta on, what day is Saturday? The 9th. So he's a little busy right now. So, so he's our next guest. And then I have someone else in the queue that I think's amazing. Actually,
we have a lot of people that we want.
We have a lot of amazing people.
Yeah, the comical part is we're being a little like picky now because a lot picky.
It's picky and also scheduling, because we've had people around the world, which is my favorite part. Like,
it's weird times. It's weird times. Like
scheduling. Yeah, it's scheduling.
Definitely.
So, next week on the Bust of the podcast, and he better say yes now that I'm promoting it, or he better clear his schedule. Dmitry Salita, I think he's
Dmitry, you're in trouble. You're in trouble now because now you're on the hook.
He's got such amazing. I think his story is amazing. I want people to know he's bringing boxing back to Detroit. Like, that's his slogan.
Which is my area where I grew up. It's fantastic. It really is.
That's his slogan. And he's not just Detroit. He's done shows in Atlanta. He's done them in Puerto Rico. And so I think he has a great story. So next week I want to pick his brain. And and this is why I'm excited. And I know I'm rambling, Mark. I'm sorry, but
you're allowed to.
He has secured, him along with Win Records, have now made Clarissa Shields the highest paid female athlete in boxing.
Yeah.
With her $5 million contract and
fantastic,
and promoted her to where she's at. I mean, she's an unbelievable athlete as well. 2-time gold medal Olympian, multiple weight world champion. I'd love to have her on the podcast too.
Sure.
But he is kind of the push behind promoting her and getting her what he feels like she's worth.
Exactly.
So I would love to get his story on how the evolution and the story about behind
how
her
it all
and
came
promotion.
about. Yeah.
So I think he's going to be awesome.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And don't forget, everybody, our in conjunction with Gems for Gems. Domestic abuse, and it's one of our people that we associate our podcast with.
Raising awareness. I think that's the big thing, is we want to raise awareness for Gems for Gems, because I think it's a phenomenal charity. I think
it is.
that the work that can
we say charity, but we can also say advocates, right? They're advocates. They're doing so much. They are, yes.
They raise funds because they're building shelters and things like that for domestic abuse violence. But what it is we want to raise awareness about these things happening, because if there is that conscious mindset of like, hey, like, let's open our eyes a little bit more and see what's happening here. And yes, you can speak out, and if you can stop it before it happens.
Yes.
Right? So that's kind of why
hashtag walk away, guys. That's
we just want to raise some awareness and give it's our social social give back. So
It definitely is.
sorry to go on about it. We talk about
I
it,
like
but I
that,
want
Jay.
to.
So it's our social give back. I like that.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
people that run it are absolutely phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Like, I mean, you want to talk about like just the gems of the world. The people that run it are just incredible.
Yeah. In fact,
yeah.
one of the guy who also runs it, he is a former homicide. This is how this all came about.
Crazy.
He's on the board.
Crazy.
He's a former homicide.
Detective?
He's a detective. I don't know if he was like the head. Anyway.
Yeah. I believe he was. Jay.
So he's a former homicide police officer, detective in Calgary, and so he firsthand has seen all of the
worst of the
terrible
worst.
things, the worst of the worst, and so this is why he sits on this charity, which is also a reason I've sat down and talked to him. I think he's unbelievable. He's written a couple books about his stories and this and that, and his lessons that he's learned.
Yeah,
and so we need to raise more awareness because it happens every day.
Yes, it does. And let's not forget about Crystal Glass, everybody. Your clear choice for all your glass needs. Go to crystalglass.ca, your clear choice for all your glass needs. And I'll tell you, the best of the best. Over 75 years in business. Really, truly incredible. Mm-hmm. I used to run every time I used to see Ed Bean. Rest in peace. I used to run and just take pictures with him. It's crazy. I have more.
He was the best.
I
he
never.
was the nicest.
I never took a picture in my life with famous people. Like I never did that my whole entire life. Every time I saw Ed Bean, I ran to take a picture with him. I was like such a nerd.
Ed. Yeah, it's sad that he passed, but he was one of the biggest supporters even of mine. He helped my career. He always supported me
listen, I'll tell you right now,
without a doubt.
I could talk a whole show about Ed Bean. That's how special he was. He saved the Oilers back in the day. He literally was a big contributor for the MFC. He literally was just fantastic. And I'm not joking. Every time I see
philanthropist.
He really is. And rest in peace, Ed. And he's just a spectacular human being and needs to be brought up on occasion because that's how great he was. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Well, listen, everybody, tune in every Tuesday on the Buslit Podcast, 5 p.m. Mountain, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on the Buslit Podcast. Join us on all our social media platforms. That's the lovely Jelena Mrdjenovich, 8-time world boxing champion, 3 division, and myself, Mark Pavelich. Tune in, everybody. We love you, and we always tell the truth.
And we'll see you next week.
See ya.